actually wrote an essay about my piece.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, here you go.
Thank
you very much. Sorry that the pages are numbered. My mom let me know about that. Okay, so my name is Truta. I'm 16 years old and I'm about to perform my piece Enterprise 4, which is heavy metal piano, solo piano piece.
Okay, give me 1 second. Let me just get it up here so I can properly pay attention.
That's the thing again.
So, there it is. 1 second.
Can you tell me you're ready?
Got it. take a better look at the essay after, just because it's a lot to read and listen to and like write down all at the same time. It's really, really great. There's a lot of sections, very progressive in that effect that it's a lot of different sections. One thing that might actually help, and I know most heavy metal composers don't like hearing this, I feel like there's too many parts to it. This could be 2 or 3 different songs. So if you listen to like say a longer Metallica song, let's just go with like a staple, right? I mean, I prefer Megadeth, but whatever.
Yeah. I love them both.
They'll have a long introduction, which is like their creative area, which is something that like say Bach and Beethoven, they'll be more creative in the in-between sections. They'll have a verse, they'll have a chorus, and then they'll repeat the verse and the chorus. They'll have a long middle section where they get to be very creative and do whatever the heck they want. And then after that, they go back to the verse and the chorus again. Now, mind you, all that repetition tends to bug me after a while, but it's there for a reason, and it's like I've been saying, I know I'm like a broken record, instructors are listening. So if there's too many different sections all the way through, it's hard for the listener to stay connected to what happened in the beginning, and we kind of lose what happened in the beginning.
That's
right?
kind of the point.
Okay, well, like I said, I need to take a better look through your essay. I didn't have time as I'm writing things down and listening, right? But it is like a lot of times like Megadeth. They do not have verse chorus structures at all.
I know.
But he has a single motif that will usually run all the way through the piece of music that the listener can always connect to. And you do have some of that, but I feel a little bit more of that would really help to structure it. And so that the listener can call back to everything constantly. You have to remember, listeners don't have the same insight that you do, right? You've been listening to this same thing over and over as you've been composing it, like obsessing over it, right?
Yes.
Right? Listeners don't have that chance, especially on the first listen, which nowadays you have to catch people on, right? So you don't want to lose people halfway through, you want to keep them connected. And the way to do that is to have very obvious motifs that they can connect to. Even the most radical of the metal bands, like Cryptopsy and Suffocation, they have motifs that they call back to constantly. I think it's a great piece of music, but if you were to do a little bit more motif callback, it'd be a little bit easier for a listener to like latch onto and to stay connected with all the way through the piece. But I think it's beautiful. Your use of dynamics, it's huge, right? It's a huge sounding piece. You really know how to use the piano, right? To make a big sound, and you really brought that heavy metal sound, like the thrash death metal sound, to this instrument, which is hard to do. I know that better than anybody. It's really hard to make that happen, right? What would be really nice is actually if you were to turn this into like say a trio with like a cello and a violin to like really round it out, have some instruments to help carry that melody along with it and things. I think there's a lot of area to expand, maybe not more sections, but like have other instruments that can carry those motifs on top of what you've already written to help give it a type of cohesiveness to it.
Actually, that part, it was actually originally for a production that I was doing where it's a full metal song with rhythm, guitar, bass, drums, and that. But I condensed it to piano because piano is pretty much the only instrument, not counting voice.
Yeah, that's okay. It's easy enough to arrange for other instruments. You just have to know what their ranges are. Send it to the instrumentalist and say, edit this for me, please.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think it's a really successful piece of music. This is something I would buy a CD for.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, I think it's really well done. But yeah, I would like add in some other instruments and maybe create a little more cohesion with the opening motifs all the way through the piece. That would really help out the listener. But that was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm aware that that like many sections can be a bit difficult, but I felt like it would make it feel a bit more metal and not just something that was inspired by it, but it's more, I didn't want it to be jazz, I wanted it to kind of be metal and have the brutal sound.
Absolutely. And it definitely has that, and it has the harshness of it, and it has the punctuation and the rhythmic vitality of metal. Absolutely, I could hear it all the way through. It was really good. I really enjoyed it.
And I got a lot of inspiration. I've been listening to many metal albums and just kind of that sound and the different feel from various different bands to which, I could listen maybe first Metallica, Dio, Tool, Dream Theater, Type O Negative, Megadeth, all of them.
Cool, that was great, yeah. So I'm writing down millions of notes here. I'm gonna look through your paper a bit more, and I've got your piece of music in my ears, and I have a recording here to listen to as well, but that was great. Thank you so much.